U.S. considers China sanctions. 50 million people lived in modern slavery last year. 4 nations bordering Russia to restrict Russian tourists. Robotaxi services to launch in Austin and Phoenix. Brazil bans sale of iPhone without charger. Iceland supermarket sues Iceland the country. Swedish voters boost anti-immigration party amid high crime. 437,000 barrels of oil stolen per day in Nigeria.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Wednesday, September 14th, and here are your top stories. Reuters cited a U.S. official and an official from a country in close coordination with Washington as saying that officials in Washington are considering options for a possible package of sanctions against China to deter Xi from attempting to invade Taiwan. They said U.S. talks over sanctions began after Russia invaded Ukraine in February, but took on fresh urgency after the Chinese reacted to U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit. 6 sources briefed on the Taiwan-Europe discussions told Reuters that the European Union was coming under diplomatic pressure from Taipei to do the same.
While China has stood in the way of Taiwan participating and going to certain meetings,
according to Reuters, the idea is to enact further sanctions to restrict some trade and investment with China in sensitive technologies like computer chips and telecom equipment. The sources said the deliberations in Washington and Taipei's separate lobbying of EU envoys were both at an early stage. Taiwan had already broached sanctions with European officials after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but China's recent military exercises have seen Taiwan's position harden.
The International Labour Organization estimates that 50 million people around the world are trapped in modern slavery, either forced to work against their will or forced into a marriage. Along with the UN's International Organization for Migration and the Walk Free Foundation, a rights group that focuses on modern slavery, the organization reported that 28 million people were in forced labor and 22 million were in forced marriages at the end of 2021. It marked a 25% jump from its previous report 5 years ago.
Many continue for years in situations of severe exploitation.
All the organizations point to worrying trends such as commercial sexual exploitation affecting 1 in 4 people who are subject to forced labor, and with the poor, women, and children hardest hit. They found increases in child and forced marriages in countries like Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Congo, Egypt, India, Uganda, and Yemen. But the report said wealthier countries were not immune to the problem, with nearly 1 in 4 forced marriages taking place in high or upper middle income countries.
4 countries bordering Russia will take regional steps this month to limit people from Russia from entering Europe's visa-free zone by land, because they are increasingly concerned about the substantial and growing influx of Russian citizens. Estonian Prime Minister Kajal Kallas said, "There are people coming with the aim of undermining the security of our countries. We believe that this is becoming a serious threat to our public security and the overall shared Schengen area."
Poland and the 3 Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, have agreed on a common regional approach, with the political will and firm intention to introduce national temporary measures for Russian citizens holding EU visas. Such measures would take effect in each of the 4 countries separately by September 19th. While Estonia and Latvia border the Russian mainland, Lithuania and Poland share borders with Russia's enclave of Kaliningrad on the Baltic Sea.
GM's self-driving technology unit, Cruise, will launch commercial robotaxi service in Austin and Phoenix in the next 90 days and before the end of 2022. Cruise CEO and co-founder Kyle Vogt said on Monday, September 13th, that the company has a robotaxi service that operates in certain areas of San Francisco between 10 p.m. and 5:30 a.m. Cruise is betting that its work in San Francisco will allow it to expand to new cities more quickly. Cruise expects to hit $1 billion in annual revenue by 2025.
According to Vote, the company closed out the second quarter of 2022 with $25 million after launching its commercial service in San Francisco. Other than regular services, the company has built robots to charge and clean its AVs, and Cruise has been building custom chips that can reduce power consumption and system costs. In addition to laying out Cruise's plans to scale its Robotaxi service, Vote also nodded towards the possibility of producing consumer autonomous vehicles by 2025.
An order published by the Brazilian Minister of Justice and Public Security banned the sales of iPhones that don't ship with a charging brick. The order said that the environmental reason provided were not enough, and it shifted the burden on the consumer to obtain a charger. It opined that the company could take other steps, like switching to USB-C from the Lightning port for charging the iPhone. The order also noted that the company is being fined $2.34 million.
There's a new kind of war going on in Brazil between iPhone maker Apple and the government there. It is over an order that has banned Apple from selling iPhones without a battery charger.
In response, the company said it's working with local consumer protection agency, Senacon, to conciliate their concerns. An Apple spokesperson said, "We have already won several court rulings in Brazil on this matter, and we are confident that our customers are aware of the various options for charging and connecting their device." The company insisted that by removing chargers from the retail box, the company has been able to cut carbon emissions equivalent to taking 500,000 cars off the road.
Iceland, the British supermarket, has taken Iceland the country to court again. Iceland Foods, founded in 1970, has fought for years to trademark the name of the Nordic island first settled by humans in 874 AD. In 2019, the EU Intellectual Properties Office invalidated the exclusivity of Iceland Foods' EU trademark registration. But now the Iceland Foods appealed the 2019 European Union decision against it. The case has been taken to the Grand Board of EU Intellectual Property Office, EU IPO.
My name's Malcolm Walker. I founded Iceland, so I know a thing or two about frozen food.
The dispute heated up when the frozen food seller tried to stop the trademark, inspired by Iceland, from being branded on groceries in 2015. The trademark was registered to an entity called Island Stofa, which Iceland Foods simply assumed was a commercial company. But Iceland Stofa was actually a platform to promote Iceland's image and reputation. It turned out that Iceland Foods had objected to the Icelandic government using the word Iceland in its products.
A populist anti-immigration party has surged to become Sweden's second largest political force after a national election dominated by fear of gang violence. With 94% of the votes counted, the conservative opposition bloc, including the anti-immigration party known as the Sweden Democrats, has an extremely narrow lead over the incumbent center-left party. The not yet final count indicated that the conservative bloc would have 175 seats and the center-left would have 174.
A divisive campaign dominated by rising gang shootings, immigration, and soaring electricity prices.
Analysts expect the final tally will confirm a conservative bloc win. With 8 parties contending for seats in the 349-member parliament, none can secure a majority of 175 seats, meaning that laws can only be passed with different parties working together. The parties campaigned under 2 general blocs, one conservative and the other a center-left group headed by Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson, Sweden's first female prime minister.
According to Premier Times data analysis, between January and July, Africa's biggest oil producer lost an average of 437,000 barrels of oil a day to criminal entities and individuals who illicitly tap pipelines onshore and offshore in the Niger Delta region. The African News reported most people in the Niger Delta lived in poverty, even though the country is the biggest oil producer on the continent, with an output of around 2 million barrels per day.
To stop crude oil and product theft at production sites on the pipeline.
Group Managing Director of Nigerian National Petroleum, Mele Kyari, last week blamed a section of Nigerian society for complicity that has led to the loss of thousands of dollars in oil theft. Nigeria recorded lower production in the first 7 months of the year. In January, production stood at 1.4 million barrels per day, but as of July, production went lower to 1.1 million barrels per day. According to industry sources, Nigeria loses around 200,000 barrels of crude to oil thieves, vandals, and illegal refining operators daily.
Funday News will help sharpen your English skills while keeping you informed on current international events. Tune in to other Funday programs to learn more about the world's most important topics in English. Click the link below now to join Funday for free. I'm Wei Li, your host, and I'll see you next time.